Hi Flosstube, my name is Amy, also known as Aussie Stitcher in Texas, here on YouTube and over on Instagram. I've decided to start up a Flosstube channel. I've been watching Flosstube for probably over a year now. Fell deep into the rabbit hole following people like Rachel Ray, Teresa Little Stitcher. I just started watching the Museum Stitcher, Michelle Bendy, Mama Loves UGB, all the kind of usual suspects that people are watching, and I'm sure there's many more out there that I've either forgotten to name or don't know to go ahead and watch. So any recommendations, I'm always looking to absorb what everyone has to offer. As it says, I'm an Australian. I live here in Texas, in Fort Worth to be precise. Loving living here, not really loving the summers, but I don't think many people do. I'm just not used to it being so hot all the time. So like I said, I've been watching YouTube for a while and have thought about starting my own channel for a little bit and finally decided to take the plunge. So I hope you like what I have to offer and that you'll like and subscribe so that I know to keep creating content for everybody. So a little bit about me. I live here in the US. I moved about 7 years ago now, first to Los Angeles and then to Texas. Much prefer Texas to Los Angeles, weather aside. I just love the people here in Texas so much. They're very friendly. You know, Southern hospitality really is a thing. I started cross stitching as a kid, probably around 10 or so, with my mom. My mom was a big cross stitcher. She loved to cross stitch. She did so many things for herself, for the family. We always had things hanging up around the house. Put it down as one does at that age. You know, you have different interests that come and go. My cross stitch went, unfortunately. But I think like a lot of people 2 years ago, found myself with a lot of time on my hands being stuck at home for a lot of the time, and picked up cross stitch. Well, I actually started with diamond painting, which is how I found Flosstube. Was actually through Rachel Ray. I watched her diamond painting channel and then noticed she was putting up Flosstube videos, and having a little bit of experience with cross stitch, decided to watch those. Went and got a kit from Michael's, realized I really do still like cross stitch, so really just fell into the rabbit hole from there, watching all the different YouTube, seeing all the different things that you can get. You know, when I was cross stitching as a kid and when my mom cross stitched, there was no such thing as the hand dyed fabrics and the hand dyed cottons and the floss and all the needle minders and just kind of everything that comes with being able to do cross stitch now. So I've done that and, you know, have fell in love with cross stitch again. I still diamond paint a little bit, probably not as much. One thing I love about cross stitch is being able to sit back on the couch and kind of watch TV as you're cross stitching. But I do still diamond paint. I've got one on the go now that I get back to every now and then. So this being my first Flosstube, I thought I'd introduce myself, which I just did, and then also show you the finishes I've done in the last year or so, and then also my whips. I don't have a lot of finishes. I don't have a lot of whips. I'm trying to keep those a little bit under control. I'm sure that will change as time goes on and I fall in love with more things and just want to do all the things. But it's trying to keep myself under control, like I said. So starting with my finishes, my first one, and probably the one I'm the most proud of, is a Mirabilia. First time I've ever done beading. One of the first times I've worked on something other than Aida. Like I think most people, I started with Aida and then moved into linens and even weaves. Much prefer the linens and even weaves over the Aida. It feels nicer. I think it looks nicer, but you know, Aida still definitely has its place. So this is Andromeda by Mirabilia. She is on a 32 count even weave. Oh, let me come over on this side. On a Fabrics by Stephanie in the colorway Changeling. When I saw this, I fell absolutely in love with the pattern, but didn't really love the fabric that the model is stitched on. And seeing so many people changing up the fabrics, I used the fabric viewer to put in to see what would work, and I just thought this Changeling looked absolutely amazing. My first time beading, my first time using Kreinik, Absolutely love it. Beading was kind of, I think, like a lot of people, a bit of a love-hate kind of thing. On the 32 count, some of them are a little bit tight, so I did remove some to not overcrowd it too much. But that is my first Mirabilia all finished. I will be getting her framed. My father has generously offered for my birthday to front framing it. I'm just waiting for a good sale to come up, because even though my dad's paying, I still would like to get a good price on the framing. So that is one of my finishes. The next up is a cricket collection. It is Winter. Get that on there. Sorry, I can see through, but I can't get my face and this in there. This is on a 28 count even weave. I got it from my local LNS. It is, I believe they called it like blue ice or blue icicle, something like that. But this is Winter. I'm hoping to, this is going to be one I'm going to try and finish myself. I'm just looking for the right kind of backing fabric, and if anybody has any good finishing videos that they can recommend, I would really appreciate that. I've never finished anything. I'm not the best sewer in the world, so anything you guys can have on offer would be great. Funny thing about this, I did kind of, I think, the rookie mistake, and I wasn't paying attention when after I'd put my fabric in my Q-snap and started stitching it the wrong way. You can see it's a fairly long, thin piece of fabric, and I started it the wrong way. So I had to frog out everything, which was not fun, and start again the right way and make sure I checked multiple times to make sure that I didn't have to frog it out again. My next finish is by Autumn Lane Stitchery. You'll love Aaron and Cassandra. This is Potions and Spells on also fabrics by Stephanie. This is Winterfell, a linen, a 32 count linen. I started this around Halloween last year and finished it a little bit before Black Friday, because I remember looking for frames and everything around Black Friday. Love it, the colors, everything about it. Love the work that Aaron and Cassandra do. I find their things, I just love them. So much detail, not too many colors, so you're not, you know, switching out a color every two stitches. Just great. That's another one I'm going to try and frame myself to help with expenses. And then my final finish is actually also the only one I have framed. It is another Autumn Lane Stitchery. Trying the glare, I apologize. This is one of their mermaids on a 32 count linen Witchelt, I think it is, that I just got from 123 Stitch. Not entirely, oh my lights, sorry. Not entirely happy with the frame job that Michaels did. You know, it's quite a stiff linen, and I ironed it and ironed it and ironed it to make sure that there were 0 wrinkles in it. I gave it to them with no wrinkles, and then it comes back and it's a little bit wrinkled. So I am going to try and maybe stick some shells or just add some stuff to it to try and hide some of that, the wrinkling that you can see. But that was my first finish. It was my first time using linen. Was so scared to use linen, and then found out it wasn't as bad as I thought. So was very happy that it was, you know, a new medium that I could use, and my first, you know, dyed fabric, and absolutely loved it. So those are the finishes that I've had, hoping to obviously have a lot more, but now let's move into my whips. Like I said, I'm trying to keep my whips to not have too many, just to not overwhelm myself, and then have that issue of I don't know what to work on because there's just too many to choose. So I have it down to, I believe 4 or 5 is what I have. And then I also am doing Whip Go from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. I really love that. It helps take that choice away of what, you know, I don't have to think about what I want to work on. I go with what Whip Go tells me to do. So one of my first whips is actually in Heaven and Earth Designs. It is one of the Faces of Faery, 201 by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. The Black Swan, I call her. I believe it's number 201. So I'm working on her on a gridded even weave 32 count, just 2 over 2. This is one I had started. I tried doing 1/1, 2/1 tent stitch, and then I realized, yes, it's going to take me longer, but I just prefer the 2/2 full cross. I just liked the coverage better, but yes, it is going to take longer. I am fully across. That's as wide as she will be. That is the end over here. So that's as wide as she'll be. And then I just am about, I think 20% or so done, 20 or 30%. She hasn't come in my whip go rotation for a little while now. So what I was gonna try and do is like about, even if she hasn't been called, try to get something on her each month, whether it's 500 stitches, 1,000 stitches, just to show some progress and have that move. Especially now that I can get some more colors going in. You know, for a lot of it, I've been working on her face and her skin, which is obviously very skin toned and kind of boring, to be honest. Just there's no real color going on, but I'm getting into her mask now, which has some great blues, and then her eyes, which are red, and then can't wait to get to that bottom corner where the swan's in that kind of like glass bowl, and it really is going to pop and look like it is in that glass. So I'm looking forward to getting there. So that is that one. My next is, I love Disney, as probably a lot of people do, and I found on Etsy these villain crests by AtomicTikiPins, Tori, and I bought 4 of the crests. So I have Ursula, which I've started, Maleficent, Gaston, and Hades. So kind of my favorite Disney movies and their villains. These also work in Pattern Keeper, which is great. Obviously not the back stitch or any French knots, but the bulk of it's in Pattern Keeper, and then I can just use the paper pattern to fill in the back stitch and French knots, which makes life much easier working in Pattern Keeper. So this is Ursula, where I'm up to. So I've bought a huge piece of black 28 count fabric. I want to try and get all 4 of the crests I have kind of side by side. And frame them somehow just in the one frame rather than having 4 frames, but spacing them apart, that if I do want to cut them up and frame them on their own, I still can. It is a giant piece of fabric. My next work in progress, which has just come out of the Q-Snap and is going to go away for a little while because I've been working on her for a while, is Garden Prelude by Mirabilia. So this is what I'm up to. So I changed out the fabric choice. In the mock-up, it's on just kind of like a plain, kind of neutral brownish color. Didn't love it. Obviously, you know, those are designed for the pattern to pop. But I've got this on. This is also a Fabrics by Stephanie, a 32 count Loki. And I just absolutely love it. I think it looks like she's, you know, it's nighttime. She's playing at night in the garden. I just think it looks absolutely amazing and makes her really pop. So this is using all the called for. There's DMC, there's going to be Krynic, there is Karen Water Lilies, silks, and I have decided to do her skin 1/1, which I'm not sure I'll ever do again. You know, I think it looks great. I did my Andromeda 2/2. I decided to do this one 1/1 because it wasn't a huge amount of skin. I thought it would be a good one to do because it's not too much. And I think it looks good. I just don't think it looks good enough to me that I want to do 1/1 skin again, especially on the 32 count. But that is my Garden Prelude. She's going to go away for a little while, but she was called in my whip go this month, so she'll come back out for me to complete that. And then my last whip is the Twisted Rainbow Sampler by Northern Expressions Needlework. This is just the cross stitch version on a 25 or 28 count, just black, even weave. Absolutely amazing, the color changes. This is in my whip go as well. I have my whip go set up for this one to do one color. So when it gets cold, it's one color. So I have another yellow, a brighter yellow to go through. A lot of stitches. I think this and the next color or two is the most stitches because it pretty much covers the kind of length of the pattern going diagonally. I had originally bought this in the specialty stitch version, and started to try and do the specialty stitches, and they were just beyond my capability, but really wanted to do this piece. So I changed it out for just the cross stitch version. Still have the specialty stitch version, so if one day I start to learn specialty stitches, I can definitely start stitching on it again. The cross stitch version as well for this also works in Pattern Keeper, which makes it much easier to work on. You know, I hope one day the Mirabilias will work in Pattern Keeper too, even if it's not everything, if it's just the cross stitch. And I'm happy to do back stitch from a paper pattern from there. So those are my whips that I have. Working on them is really what my plans are for this month. Like I said, it'll be the one color of the Twisted Rainbow sampler, 7 days on my Mirabilia, and then I'm going to try and get some more stitches on into my Black Swan, because that still has a long way to go, and it's a heaven and earth design. I would like to get it finished in this century if possible, so that I can do more. No haul this week. I do try to control my haul where I can. I do have a Black Needle Society box coming soon though, so that'll be exciting to unbox that and get started on the retreat that'll be happening. But that's me. Short and sweet video. It is my first, like I said. If you all like it, please like and subscribe and share it with any of your friends. And if you do, I will keep uploading and keep stitching. Thanks everybody. Bye.